What's up, everybody? Welcome to another round of Simple Man Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Batista. We are joined by Oren Drummond. We are kind of run a skeleton crew today, but we're going to hold the fort down the best we can. Just guys getting caught up. I don't want to make excuses for him, but Brady just, had a timing thing, and then O'Rourke just got called in on some police stuff last minute. So it's just us, man, but I think we're going to do a good job.
We're going to try. What's up, Brian? Thanks for having me. You know what? I come from the land of no excuses. I don't care if Sean had to go to work. I don't care if Brady's wife needed to get picked up from the airport. I got a kid here. He's hungry. He's crying, and I'm still here.
Dude, what's it like being a dad?
Dude, it is so easy. Like, you wouldn't
what day are you on being a dad?
No, it's dude, it's super cool. So he came by surprise April 10th. He was supposed to come a couple days ago on the 22nd. And obviously we don't follow the plans. We don't need to, but came on April 10th, 6-hour delivery. My wife, Danielle, she did an amazing job. But ever since, we've been on a schedule. The little guy is healthy and sometimes happy, and just kind of fattening him up, getting him on like a sleep schedule and stuff. But all jokes aside, Sean and Brady, sad you guys aren't here. You guys are doing the Lord's work right now. But yeah, hopefully Xander will stay quiet long enough for me to be on this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to be one of those people that compares like having kids to having dogs or having pets, because I feel like that's ridiculous. But I'm kind of in the same boat. Like if my dogs start going off, dude, I'm so like, I can't focus on one thing if things are going on in the background. So if I have to tell them to shut up, I might. But
dude,
so far they're quiet.
Listen, I got 2 dogs too, and one of them, we got her last year. She was a puppy. It's a little bit of a difference, but it's responsibility. You're responsible for something else. You got to feed them. You got to take them outside. You got to do whatever you got to do. But it's rewarding. It's cool. I'm excited to see him grow up, and hopefully he'll like wrestling as much as I do.
Yeah, man. Well, dude, there's been a lot of big things that have been happening right now with just the transfer portal. But I think like the thing that everybody's talking about is what's happening with Penn State. I mean, first it was Bernie Truax, and he made the commitment, and then it's Messenbrink, right? And he makes the commitment.
Oh, yeah.
And then freaking Brady drops the bombshell in our group chat. Everybody's questioning where Nagau's going to go. He's going to Penn State, dude.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. And I just got to say, I'm happy for these guys. So Messenbrink, I mean, high school all-star. Like, this dude, like, he was meant to go to a top program. He was like diligently sought after by these coaches. To me, that's like super cool. Good for him. He's going to be such a stud. We'll see where he fits in with like Alex Facundo and who's going to beat who and who's going to be the starter next year. That's going to be wild. Most likely he'll redshirt, but you never know. But I just got to say, Bernie Truax, Aaron Nagau, 2 California State placers, Nagau state champ. I think Nagau hasn't spent as much time at Minnesota as Truax has at Cal Poly. But, Truax did his time. He got his degree, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to see what my options are. First of all, you can make some good money, get school paid for, but also kind of get a good head start in life. Also, you want to get a degree somewhere else. I don't blame him for wanting to leave Cal Poly. Dude, he's going to his dream school, and he's a local San Diego boy. Like, I can't be mad about that. Sure, I'm a Pac-12 guy. I feel bad for the coaches at Cal Poly. I feel bad for the Pac-12 in general. They're losing a monster, but the kid's living out his dreams. He's replacing Max Dean, who he beat at the national tournament, and he gets his shot. And then Aaron Nagau, he saw the opportunity and he took it. And I can't blame these guys, because for years and years and years, dudes were stuck in programs that they didn't want to be in. They didn't feel like they fit perfectly, whatever it may be, and whatever Nagau's reason is. He was on the Bosch Mania podcast. Shout out to them. So glad they got to break the news. But I mean, I'm happy for the kid. The kid gets to live out his dream. Roman Bravo Young isn't there anymore, so he gets a starting spot, hopefully. But he's still going to have to earn a spot. He's still going to have to earn another All-American and a national title.
Yeah, just looking at it, right? Like, why are all these transfers? Why are they going to Penn State? How come they're not going to Iowa? And I don't think it's necessarily a money thing. I think that definitely plays a part of it, right? I think the number that everyone's throwing around is it's $100,000 to get an All-American, right? But I think just thinking about Bernie, so I heard a little scoop just from somebody that's close to the Cal Poly program, and they were telling me that it was Iowa offered him like $250,000.
Yeah.
Like something big,
Yeah.
right? But I've also heard that Penn State did not offer him $250,000. It was less than that.
Yeah.
So why go to Penn State? Well, I mean, look at their track record. Different ideologies. I mean, Iowa's like, we're still going to grind. We're going to train hard. I think they're trying to break that stigma a little bit. We are not robots. But Penn State, they play dodgeball. They develop. They have fun. If you're going to go 184, and I think that actually that might be his weight, because I heard Brooks might go up to 97. Dude, 84, 97, 74 U. I mean, that's Penn State.
Oh yeah, dude. I think Bo Nichols said it best after he won his last national title. He said, "You want to win national titles, individual and team national titles, you go to Penn State." And so, you don't have to go to Penn State to win a national title. But Bernie is a smart kid. He got a degree from Cal Poly Technical University. He's not done. He's looking, okay, I can either take this 250 and go to a program that doesn't really gel with my style. It doesn't gel with his style. He's a very smart wrestler, but he's not like this, just go getter grinder. He'll grind throughout the match, but he's very smart, very technical. And I think to him, he just saw, listen, I'll take a little bit less money, but does this give me a better shot at winning an individual national title? Also, you're adding the high probability that you're winning a team title. How many guys win team national titles in college? Not very many, So I think you take the opportunity, you go where you see that you fit. And how can you not want to go to Penn State? That's the whole thing for me. They're winning. They're winning. I don't blame kids. I've been talking to so many friends and so many colleagues and stuff that they're not about it. And they're like, why would you do that? Why would you just feed into it? And it's not really Kale hasn't done anything that's he's I don't know. He's cheating under the table. There's no sentiment that he's doing anything wrong, anything that any other coach isn't doing,
Yeah.
And to me, Kale they're a little secretive. They do their own thing, but they produce champions. And yes, they get a lot of talent. But dude, they produce guys that weren't the top guys in high school too. They do produce good guys. And if I want anyone coaching me, I want Cale Sanderson in my corner.
Yeah, I had a long talk. So Franciani and I I like to consider ourselves students of the game, right?
Yeah.
And it's always trying to grow and get better. And I think that's part of why we mesh really well together. But we whenever we get a little, because that curtain just pulls back just a little bit every time there's an interview, right? Bo Nickel had an interview and he pulled back not Bo Nickel, who's the other nice Quentin Wright.
Yes.
Quentin Wright had an interview, right? So kind of pulled back the curtain a little bit. And then there was another one that just happened. It was on Wrestling Changed My Life. It's not, man, I can tell you who he is. He was an All-American, possibly a two-time All-American, was already on the Penn State team when Kale came in. Dude, what's his name? Why am I blanking?
Was it one of the Alton brothers?
Right
Who?
It's not Bland. It's not Jordan Blanton.
Was it one of the Alton brothers?
It's not one of the Altons, but he was on the team with those guys. I can look it up real quick. Give me 1 second. But just looking at these guys, I mean, every now and then the curtain pulls back a little bit, and it's they train smart, right? They develop your style. There are so many different ways to score points. It's why limit these guys, or why try to put them in a box? And I think you look at some of the best coaches in terms of just developing wrestlers. That's what they're all good at. Brian Pearsall.
Okay.
Brian Pearsall. I think. Might be losing my mind. Did Pearsall wrestle? That doesn't sound right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. No? Dude, I'm losing my mind. It's okay. It's not that important. It's still, that's my point, right?
Oh, definitely.
Every little detail that we find, we kind of pull back the curtain a little bit more. So it's if you're going to go anywhere in the country to just get better at wrestling, what is the best place in the country to get better at wrestling? Penn State.
Exactly.
Penn State. Not that you can't do it other places. That's Penn State, man.
And that's the whole thing. You can go other places and you could succeed. You can become a national champion. But like, get into these guys' minds like really quick. And just like if you don't understand the decision they're making, then just like, you don't have common sense. You can be mad about it, but it makes sense. Yeah, sure. Aaron Nagao could have gone to Iowa. He could have stayed at Minnesota. He could have gone to Cornell. Those would have been amazing choices. But like, if I'm looking at it, he made probably his best choice to be successful. And if he's not going to win a national title, if they're not going to win national titles, they'll most likely win a team title. Someone said it on Twitter today. Penn State, you're 2024 national champions. And obviously everyone's getting ahead of themselves. But you look at their lineup and they're not getting any softer. And so like, that's like, I don't know. Can't blame the kids. I think they're making smart decisions. But I think the transfer portal, I like it. And I remember we talked about this last time. But man, it's getting crazy and it's getting a little too crazy.
Yeah, because I'm not sure specifically what the rules are, but I'm pretty sure it can't be like, because what's happening is basically there are DMs from boosters or there's DMs from parents of kids or people that are quote unquote loosely affiliated with the program. And they're saying, enter the portal and we are willing to offer you this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. And it's like, how do you police that? And how do you put a stop to that? And I thought there was something that was like part of the deal where it's like, this has to be like an actual deal, like through a business, through a company, and they can use your name and likeness, but it's just basically turned to, well, there's a booster that owns a company and they're just going to give you money.
Yeah,
dude, we're just buying athletes now.
Yeah.
It's like we're at the freaking auction and we can it just goes to the highest bidder.
Exactly.
Is that really fair and equitable?
It's definitely a slippery slope. And so I was very much for student athletes getting paid, and it didn't need to be a lot of money, but I didn't always think of it in like the wrestling aspect, but I knew wrestling would benefit from it. But I thought of it in like the national championship football teams. You got Georgia, Alabama, all those, Roll Tide, whatever you got. And they're playing a $1 billion game, that national championship game. The NCAA is making $1 billion. CBS or whoever's showing it is making billions of dollars off of these kids. And then they were going back and saying, you're not allowed to make any money. And if you make anything, like, you're disqualified. You're not allowed to do this anymore. And it's like, how is that fair? They were creating video games at some point. They were like doing all this stuff. And like, sure, they're not doing that as much now. Now they're talking about bringing those video games back, like NCAA football. But my thing is you have to make it equitable. You have to make it like somewhat fair. You're going to pay these coaches $70 million to coach the team. The kid just can't leave with a degree and you say like, oh, it's worth the same thing. It's not. A free degree is not worth what some of these athletes are earning these programs. Now you come to wrestling where it doesn't make as much money. You're throwing $250,000 at kids. You're throwing $100,000 at kids. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. I'm happy for the kids, but I don't know. There might need to be something that like makes sense somewhere down the line, but also I don't love the NCAA making rules. I don't think they're like this holy organization that should be like creating rules and laws for these student athletes. I don't think they have the best interests of these student athletes.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the portal situation in general, I want to say it came about just because NCAA was facing all these lawsuits about kids that wanted to transfer and they needed to get this release. And sometimes they wouldn't get the release, so they'd have to burn a year of eligibility.
Yeah.
I think for me, we're both CSUB guys, just coming from CSUB and just knowing, like, hearing stories, okay, well, it's a good thing our guy actually didn't AA this year because otherwise he probably would have gone to this other school.
Yeah.
He would have been sniped and taken away. I think it's just things have kind of shifted too far on the opposite end of the pendulum or the spectrum. I think for me, like personally, like I definitely think what's happening with the NCAA, like, paying athletes and, there's this huge revenue base that's coming in from televised football games and these big events that surround these kids who aren't getting anything. Why not? Maybe don't give them cash, but like, why not, build up their athletic facilities, or why not make sure they have, the best meal plan possible? Why not make sure they, put it into scholarship money? Like, go put it into something that's not like straight up like, here's cash.
For sure.
Because I don't know. I don't think, not only is it not fair and equitable, just look what's going to happen to Penn State. It's not even competitive. Where's the competitive element that comes with it?
But this is the thing, is Penn State's not just throwing the money. They're getting their athletes from their success. And then you have Iowa, who's throwing the big bucks at people. And I was shocked. I was shocked to hear that. I was pretty shocked, but I'm not surprised. At this point, if I'm Iowa, I'm like, screw this. We were supposed to win it in 2020. We got that robbed from us. Like, the last few years, we haven't been able to like catch up to Penn State again. They finally surpassed us again. Like, we're going to do what we got to do. The Brands brothers are competitive. And if they got money and they're allowed to give money to kids in like a legal way, they're going to do it. It's just, does it sound kosher? It doesn't. And me as a Jewish man, I like kosher. But I also don't want to put all the rules. But I mean, you look at who else is in this transfer portal, and it's like, it's interesting, man. Because like Penn State, they got a locked lineup. So now where else are these guys going to go? Like, big name for me, Shane Griffith, leaving Stanford, returning it, like former national champ, multiple time All-American. The guy's proved himself time and time again. I'm surprised he's leaving Stanford, but got his degree. He's looking to go somewhere else. And honestly, I heard a rumor the other day, and I said it to my friend before I heard the rumor, so I'm glad I said it. He's a New Jersey boy. I was like, he might want to go to Rutgers. I don't want him to go to Rutgers. No offense to Rutgers, but like, I would like to see him in like a quote unquote cooler team. I would like to see him somewhere else, but I was thinking, where else would he go? I don't know. It's looking like Rutgers. Michigan. And so Michigan's getting a lot of guys too. I think Michigan and Iowa are pushing hard to try to beat Penn State. And I think
you need to.
Oh yeah, of course. I just don't know. I don't know if they can get full top to bottom lineup. I think the key for those teams is to build as strong a lineup as you can. Their guys need to be as competitive as possible, but they need to figure out a way to peak at the end of the year like Penn State does. Peak in those important matches, and peak not in physicality, not in like you can go all 7 minutes. You do need to go all 7 minutes, but you need to be the smarter guy out there. And honestly, Penn State got a guy like that in Bernie Truax. Truax is a complete gamer, 3 times placing 4th at nationals. The kid couldn't win a high school state title in California, but the kid is smart and he learns from his losses. And like Kale, I think Kale's smart too. And he could just see, you beat my guy, Max Dean, who's one of the smartest in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild, but I'm very interested. I mean, you have Seth Nevels, who left Penn State, but I think that was a smart move. Why? Because why would you're a 4-time California state champion. You're just going to sit behind a starter the whole time? No chance. And what is he now? Oh, he's a graduate.
So from what I know about Seth, I thought that he actually, when he got there and he kind of lost his spot, I think he switched over and did football. And then when I think exhausted his eligibility for that, I think he had one more year that he could do for wrestling. I don't know if this is true. I heard a little rumor that's part of the reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think, and in all honesty, I see this all over Twitter. I think people get confused with Nevels because I think they confuse him for his brother. Or for some of his, so he's got his oldest brother, Zach, who was wrestled at Stanford, NCAA qualified for Stanford. He wrestled Sean Pollock actually at
he beat me in overtime and upset me at the Pac-12s and end up qualifying for nationals.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
and I beat him 15-2 in the duel, and he beat me in overtime at the freaking conference, dude. Just broke my world.
Wild. Yeah, I mean, he was a gamer. And then you have, okay, so I need to remember. So there's Zach. There's Seth. Seth is the youngest one. There's AJ. So AJ went to Penn State first. And I believe he might have, yes.
Was he at Fresno State first?
Afterwards. He went to Fresno State afterwards. And then I think he left Fresno State, or he was there until they cut the program. I can't remember exactly what, but I think he was doing a little bit of football too. I'm trying to think of the third brother because Seth is the 4th.
Nick.
And Nick was a 3-timer as well. Yeah. Oh, and Nick's okay. Nick
was Zach, Nick, AJ,
yes.
Seth.
and Nick was an All-American for Penn State. Okay, he was the first one to go. And then AJ followed suit, didn't have as much success, went over to Fresno State, and now Seth went over there. I think Seth could have had great success, but I mean, they recruit above you. You got to leave at the right time. And he's got team title under his belt, and that's cool. But now, I mean, good for him. He signed with Maryland when? 2 days ago? Yeah. 2 days ago, became a Terpen. I think that's great for him. I think he'll still be competing in the Big Ten like he wants to. He can compete for a national title. He can try to get his name out there. But it's a bummer. How long did he sit at Penn State? Not in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I think like it just, again, kind of taking a step back, like from a scholarly viewpoint, like how do you become more competitive with them? Well, look at what they're doing and how can you apply what they're doing to your philosophy? Because my thing is like you always have to be adaptable to your athlete's needs. Yeah. There are things that you want to do, or maybe things that you're just naturally good at, like technique wise and skill wise, but that does not mean that's going to work for your guys or for your team. Like you have to be adaptable, you have to be innovative, you have to be creative. So it's like, are you just going to keep hammering the same thing and hammer guys into a mold? I don't think that's the right option. But even just structurally how you train is waking up in the mornings and going to run every day or going to lift every day during the season. Is that the best way to train? For wrestling, a little bit of it, but I don't think you need to do that a lot.
No.
If you want to be a good wrestler, wrestle more.
Yeah.
No, that's the freaking answer.
Make it make sense. You got to wrestle more. I agree with that. I agree. I think there's other things like strength training is important. Yeah. I think like during the season, you're not going to get a whole ton stronger. You're going to maintain. You're going to do what makes sense strength training wise. Off season is where you bulk up and you get big. But I mean, you're right. It's not smart to wake up at 6 a.m. and go for a 3-mile run twice a week during the wrestling season. And like we know that from experience. I don't think it helps. I think that's a very old school mentality. And I think if you're still doing that as a coach, you're not learning and you're not trying to adapt. You're just saying, I know this used to work, so I'm going to still like make it work. And
I think until people catch on, dude, Penn State, they're going to outwork you. Well, not outwork you. They're going to train. How would you describe that? Outwork them, outtrain them, train more correct.
I mean, train smarter, not harder, I think is what they do.
More, less is sometimes more.
Yeah.
Because we actually switched it up. Like we didn't really run as much as we normally did. We would do a little bit of conditioning and then we'd go in the wrestling room. We do slow like skill and we do like a skill and we do that twice a week. And we wouldn't really go live as much, do more long spars, which is hard because we have a lot of kids that either they've been wrestling for a long time and just aren't used to that, or they just don't have their fundamentals yet. But we also have a lot of kids that are like second-year wrestlers in our varsity room, and like learning how to wrestle like that is hard. But I think just positives from it is like, were our guys strong still? Yeah. And when we were going in the weight room, we were doing band stuff. We were doing some circuit training, not really lifting really heavy. And then we would spend a lot of time wrestling and doing kind of like this. It's like a heart rate zone, like trying to get into this zone and try and do that for a longer period of time. Dude, our guys were in shape. They were in great shape at the end of the year. And our bodies were healthy for the most part. We still had some injuries, but those were kind of separate things. We had guys that were lifting on their own when they weren't supposed to and ended up breaking their back. We had to break his back, dude.
What?
Well, so he had cracked vertebrae, and one of our guys that used to wrestle, I don't mean to knock him, but they were doing deadlifts, and he ended up jacking part of his back up.
Oh my God.
It was hard because the kid, he's honestly like, skill wise, I think second to Miguel in the room. He's a freshman. And we just haven't quite seen, I don't even think what he's capable of. He had some wins. He beat some state qualifiers. But just, he still kind of looks like a little kid. I think, once he gets totally healthy, I think, hopefully we get some opportunities to still train correctly. But I think long-term, he's a special kid. He's really smart, but
Wow.
Just frustrating. But just other than that, dude, like I think just changing the way we train has helped a lot.
Oh, I think it's huge. And I mean, you hit on it perfectly. Like you guys, you're doing different things even on the mat at different times. Like you're not just going live. I love going live, don't get me wrong, but like I haven't coached in a while too. So like I don't know the ins and outs. What I think right now, naturally, that just comes to my mind is what would I do a lot in the room when we're not going live, when we're not doing these things? I would think work on positions that we're not as good at. Like if we're struggling to get away, let's get away. If we're struggling riding, let's get better at riding. We're struggling in certain positions. We're getting in on a shot. We're getting stuck in on our knees. What are different ways we can get up besides just the typical spin around, do whatever, just drive harder, whatever it is? Because like that's where a lot of people are missing the point. If a kid's not getting it physically, mentally, whatever it is, like figure out a way. If you're just going to keep telling him the same way, you're not coaching him. You're just giving him the template and it's not fitting him. Yeah. Also, I think going over situations, and by situations, I mean like you're down by 2, you're on the edge of the mat. Going over very specific situations where like I have to score, but I only have like this amount of room to score in. Or I have to score in a very short amount of time and he gets to run away, whatever it may be. But I think like, especially in college, it looks like Penn State prepares for a lot of these like very specific situations. And then boom, 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 they'll score in like an impossible 5 seconds and win the match. Or like
Shane Van Ness, dude.
I love Shane Van Ness. The dude, I was all year, because I remember him from high school. Loved his name. I thought it was a super cool name, Blair Academy kid. And I was like, I hope he goes to Penn State. Boom, he goes to Penn State. I'm like, sick. He's going to be so good. And he struggled this year a lot. And like 50, or not 57s, he was 65s. Or no.
49s.
49s. Yeah, 49s was a tough weight. And he wasn't like a top guy in that weight. But I was wondering all year, I was like, I mean, he's a Penn State kid, but he's a gamer. I was like, I really hope he can show up at nationals. And no, what was he down by? He was down by like 10 points.
It was a lot. Like it was bad. I'm trying to remember because he got put to his back, right?
Yeah.
He got put to his back.
I'm trying to remember against you right now too.
Was it Pinero?
It might have been, and it sucked because I put money on Pinero Johnson because like I watched him throughout the year and I was like, okay, the kid gasses sometimes, but he is so explosive. I was like, he could beat the best of the best. I was like, if he can show up at nationals, I got my money on him. He lost me some money, unfortunate, but the guy's a gamer. But on Shane Van Ness, even more of a gamer. Like the dude knew how to go. He knew how to go at the right time, and it was extremely impressive to watch. I was very happy to watch it. I'm a Penn State fan-ish, you could call me. I like them.
Yeah.
Don't hate on me.
I mean, it's hard because I've always been a closet Hawkeye fan.
Okay.
Just always like watching like Brett Metcalf shove Darian Caldwell off the stage was like the reason why I got into wrestling. Like, dude, this guy's down by a lot. Yeah. Like I was always around it. Like since I was really little. And then when I started competing, I was into it. But like I watched it, I think I was in 8th grade, and I was like, dude, this is so cool.
Yeah, I was.
And then his interview after was like, you boo me, you boo Iowa, fine. Like I was like, yeah, this is cool.
Dude,
I want to do that.
I mean, I liked the top teams. I loved Iowa for a long time, and I still like Iowa. I still root for them. I feel like I root for Penn State over them, but I used to root for them all the time. And in that match, both of my friends were rooting for Caldwell, and I'm rooting for Metcalf, and I'm sitting there angry, like, bro, what are you doing? And then he tries to push him off the stage, and I'm like, dude, come on. Like, it makes me look bad almost. So, like, I've always been a supporter. I was at Nationals the year before where he beat Bubba Jenkins. There was a guy in front of us who's like a huge Bubba Jenkins fan, was rooting for him. And, like, I liked Bubba too, but I was like, oh, I'm rooting for Metcalf. Like, Metcalf's my guy. And Metcalf's a cool dude. But you know what's interesting about Iowa is they call them robots. They all kind of sound the same. They all talk the same in their interviews and stuff. I think it's like a purposeful thing that's like not shoved onto them, but it's like they're recommended to be this way. Thomas Gilman, all those guys.
Yeah.
And then I feel like it's almost like a weight off their shoulders when they're not doing it anymore. Metcalf doesn't act like that anymore.
Gilman doesn't act like that anymore.
Exactly. And I feel like Gilman,
yeah, go ahead.
Gilman got to be himself. He got to go to the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club Like, he got to go to the best of the best, and I don't blame him. You want to be a freestyle champ too? You go wrestle with Kale. There was, I think, Quentin Wright posted this the other day on Twitter where like Kyle Snyder was saying, "Oh, Kale like can't ride me or whatever," and Kale showed him. Like, Kale's the best. I don't care what you say. Like, he has proved it in coaching and he showed it in wrestling. Kale Sanderson is the best, and I hope Kale is watching, because I would really like to do a quick meet and greet, just like really quick with my son. You could just hold him, just touch him, just let the team get onto him. No, I'm a huge.
Hold on. You weren't in town when they came for the duel, right?
I did. I was in San Diego, but I drove up to go watch the duel.
Dude, so we had like a fundraiser. I'm trying to remember. It might have been the Small Family's House. It's just a booster.
Oh, it was.
But they had the game room, dude. Like, that's one of the coolest
With the animals, right?
Seen. They got like, stuffed like trophy animals and like stuff like that in there.
Dude,
and they had nice food. They had the Wheaties box with him on there. I don't know. Did you go to the bathroom?
I don't remember the bathroom. No.
There's something cool in the bathroom. There was a bidet. I didn't use it, but like, I just remember that was like a popular thing. It's like, dude, I was in the bathroom and that thing's cool. Like, I didn't go in there, but like retrospectively, like, it would have been cool just to try it, but
no, we did that when I was at Cal State too. So like, we were only a couple years apart, so we were doing like very similar things. But to explain to the audience a little bit, like, Cal State Bakersfield, the program was dropped by the school in 2010, and we have been self-funded ever since. And now there's a little more school funding, which is great. Thank you, Cal State Bakersfield, finally for getting your act together. Because I'm not going to lie, it is the most successful program in school history, and it outshines all the other programs by miles and miles and miles. And I'm sorry, but like, the swimmers were getting like D2 national qualifiers. It doesn't compare to like, we had D2 national champions. We've had D1 national champions. We've had everything. So the fact that like Cal State is finally like opening their eyes a little bit is good. But okay, we had to self-fundraise. So we'd go to the Small's house. The last name was Small, and extremely wealthy. And we would go in their side house, as you said, like this game house, game room, whatever you like to call it. And it was filled with animals that the owner had gone and shot and killed legally and stuffed and put in his house, from polar bears to elephants to lions, tigers to cheetahs, all over, set in like nature scenes. And I remember we had Stephen Neal there. He brought all of his Super Bowl rings. Kale Sanderson came and spoke. Jake Varner came and spoke. And I think we got the Kale Sanderson connection because Jake Varner was a Bakersfield boy. But it was so cool, one, to have Kale there, obviously, but it was like a cool experience in that house and stuff. Just wanted to explain a little bit. But we did it when I was there, did it when you were there. Remember Anthony Robles came to like a few events and spoke for us. And
yeah, and Jay Robinson did one, and that was cool. That was where I like got to know Jay a little bit. I don't want to say that I know him, but I got to be around him for.
Well, you got to work the Jay Robinson camp when it was at Bakersfield, didn't you?
Yeah. So I was actually talking about this recently. I was talking to Carlo and Kirk, and they're like, "Dude, you need to." Well, yeah, I don't know. I've just been. It's good. It's been an emotional month. I'll just say that. Just trying to get all these projects going, and trying to improve just Frontier Wrestling a little bit. And there's like, dude, you need to take a break, go on vacation at some point. And we were talking about, what would a break look like? And I told him, like, honestly, like, the best time I ever had, like, in my life was right after I was done with school. And I just like went and did the J-Rob camps for a summer. It was like, dude, that was so much fun. It's like, we're doing 4 workouts a day. It's like 2 or 3 days on, and then you get a day off to go like travel. So I went like camping for the first time in Oregon, and that was awesome. And I went to like Mall of America when we were in, we did one in Wisconsin. So we drove to Minneapolis. I went to like, a comedy show because Minneapolis has a great like comedy scene. And just got to do all these fun things. And not only that, but just meet some really awesome people. Like, Jay Robinson aside, dude, there was a kid who ended up placing at New Jersey. He's got no legs. He was a New Jersey State placer with no legs.
Oh, I can't remember his name.
Dude, I can't remember his name either. I feel like I kind of have it up here somewhere. But just an awesome kid.
Yeah.
And like, I just got to be around him. And after a drill, I was like, what are ways that you find that you can score? Because obviously you talk about Anthony Robles, right? And he's like, honestly, I just get on top of him. I just freaking get a hold there. I get 2-on-1, and I try to get my hips in and tilt him over. So we talked about that. But dude, one of my favorite stories. So he went to the 28-day camp. Throughout the entire 28 days, he went to the trainers once. Because when he was a kid, he had bacterial meningitis. So that's ultimately what led to his legs being amputated. But he had scars all over his arms and kind of on his neck and a little bit on his face. So one of the scars opened up and he was bleeding. We were like, dude, go to the trainer. He didn't want to go. I'm like, go to the trainer. But he ran a freaking half marathon on prosthetics. And I think he ran like a pretty good time. Just never complained, just worked. Like, those are just the kind of kids that you get to meet. There's another kid, his name is Griebel. He got the black hat. That's basically like, you're the dude, right? Like, you're the man of the camp. And they give out one for each wrestling group. And just kind of hearing his story a little bit. And he came in, he might have been like in 7th or 8th grade. Like, he was young and just the smallest kid in the camp. But dude, he might not have been the best wrestler at the time, but when it came to runs or when it came to any kind of conditioning, he would get so many positives. And like, if you don't know, like with the camps, they would grade you. So if you get a positive, you'd get a plus. If you got a negative, you would get a minus. But you basically need to it's like a point system. Mm-hmm. So negative, you lose points, positive, you gain points. You need to have a certain points in order to be able to pass the camp. And you need to have a certain points above that to get a black shirt. So he just, just some awesome people, man. But just the experience of being around those people. And then they're paying for your food, right? And I'm a big guy, I like to eat. So they're paying for your food. They're paying for lodgings. They have staff practices. So I'm not really competing anymore. But, dude, I just get to wrestle because I like to wrestle. I might have missed a staff practice just on my days off. So I went to all the staff practices. And then, they gave me some spending money. So I kind of hit the town a little bit at night. And I'm not going to lie, I had some, we'll just say, very late nights. Some times where, I would be out till like 3, and then I'd stop at the gas station, get a Red Bull and a Snickers, and I'd wake up at like 5:30, freaking just and just pound one and eat a Snickers, and I'd go down the run and go lead a run, and people were like, dude, how did you sleep? And did I tell you that after that, like I wouldn't go out and do anything really after that. It was just like I kind of got out of my system. But
I'm sure
it's such a great experience. It sucks they don't have it anymore.
What don't they have anymore? The J. Robinson camps?
J. Robinson's, it's done, man. No more camps.
Oh man, that's a bummer.
I was in the last one.
No way. And you were working it though, right? Did you ever go do you ever attend any one of those camps?
I never attended. Did you go to one?
Yeah. So one summer, it was the summer before my senior year. Me and my twin brother were like, we got to do it. And we didn't do the 28-day camp, but I'll tell you, we did Camp of Champs, 5-day team camp. So got like 20 to 30 matches. Then went to the Oklahoma State intensive camp, 2-week up in Reno.
Wait, back to back?
A couple days later, yeah. And we were all into it, and we wanted to be good. So we went to that. I was a huge fan of John Smith and Coleman Scott, and they were both there. And Coleman Scott wasn't the nicest, which like was a little sad, but like you can't like he wasn't mean, but he was just a normal counselor.
What year was that?
Summer of 2007.
So yeah, this is like when he graduate, probably around that time, right?
He graduated. Oh wait, so then I went to nationals that year to watch him in 2008 in St. Louis, and he pinned the Iowa guy in the finals, and I was so happy because I wanted Coleman Scott to win a national title. But then we went to that 2-week camp, finished it, and then it was, I think we had 5 or 7 days in between, went to the J-Rob 14-day in Southern Oregon and did that whole thing. And it was amazing. You do the what's it called? What's the quiet time where J-Rob just tells you to relax the whole time? Relax. Those were good times. And the black hat that year for us was a kid. His last name was Larson. I can't remember his first name. Not Eric Larson. But he ended up.
I know Larson. That's a wrestler.
He ended up going to Cal State Bakersfield, wrestled there for a couple years. They dropped the program, transfers to Missouri, and then All-Americans for Missouri.
Dude.
And he was the black hat recipient my year.
We could look it up, but it's all right.
Yeah. Something Larson. Coach Orozco would remember. But yeah, dude, those camps, super beneficial. I think whether you're going as a counselor or as an attendee as a kid, I think it's beneficial for both reasons. I think being on the kid side, obviously you're getting the training. Like, this is what college wrestling is like, basically, in a nutshell. And as a counselor, it's like, this is like, you're learning how to coach.
Yeah.
And like, you're freshening up. If you're already a coach, you're freshening up in your coaching skills, because I think people get complacent as wrestlers and they get complacent as coaches, as we kind of talked about last time on the podcast. But, and once again, I think Kale's the best coach because he wins all his challenges, which brings me to our next topic. Dude, what do you think of these proposed rule changes that could be coming to college wrestling?
I'm a traditionalist.
Oh, wow.
So part of me, I resist change. It's like, what, like, so I know there's some big wrestling brains in the sport, right? Like, I know Adam Chiarapelli is a big advocate for the 3-point takedown. Mm-hmm. And I know he went on Rock. He had, I think, I'm not sure if it was his own Rock Fin or Willie Saylor's, but he explains why. I haven't listened to the explanation. I don't understand it. I understand the riding part, but I just feel like why are we trying to make folk style more like freestyle? Is it because we're trying to develop good freestyle wrestlers? I would just say part of the reason why our freestyle wrestling right now is great is because we have more clubs, we have more kids doing off-season wrestling. It's because folk style teaches you mat control. Folk style teaches you just I'd say part of the style is conditioning. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I just don't agree. I don't agree with making it more like freestyle. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Oren?
This is my take. So someone proposed a 3-point takedown to me. I don't know how long ago. I think it was 2 years ago. Someone had said it. And immediately I thought about it and I was on board. And this is why. This is the number one reason. In a regular folk style match right now, I take you down, I have 2 points. You get an escape, you have 1. I take you down again, I have 4 points. You get another escape, you have 2. You take me down, it's 4-4. To me, that doesn't make sense. 2 takedowns to 1 takedown and 2 escapes. To me, a takedown needs to bear more weight than that. Then a 1 takedown and 2 escapes, you'd have the same score. And in that same situation with the 3-point takedown, it's going to be 6-5. And to me, that makes sense. You should have a slight advantage. And I know there's other situations. My buddy Brock, who I used to work at Flow with, he used to be one of the content guys there. This guy's a wrestling mind. And so me and him were going back and forth on Twitter a little bit. And I realized, he goes, listen, if you have a 3-point takedown, you need to have a 3-point reversal. And so that's what I think these rules are missing, because I think the takedown being worth the same as a reversal is important, because it's got to be worth the same, or else, like, he was explaining situations where you'll have people who won't care about giving up a reversal. And that's why the riding time with near fall cannot be a thing. It cannot be a thing because it will motivate guys on bottom. It will unmotivate them to get up. I'm no longer giving up riding time. I just need to not get turned. At that point, they might as well just like take the freestyle rule and just let you up after 15 seconds.
Well, but that's what they're trying to do, right?
They're not trying to go to freestyle, Brian. This is what it is. They're trying to make it more viewer friendly, because right now I could be watching it with my wife, who's watched wrestling now since we met in 2019. And I still have to explain to her the rules. Granted, she's not paying the most attention. She's on her phone playing games half the time, but she's into it. But it's hard having to re-explain and going, it's actually different from high school in this way. And it's actually different. And like, you go from collegiate to freestyle and you have to explain the differences. But I don't think that's why they're trying to make the rules. I think they're trying to make it more sense. I also think they're trying to get viewership up. And I think they're trying to like make it make more sense in certain aspects. But it's tough, and guys are now going, let's just go straight to freestyle. I don't think that's the answer, but I wouldn't hate seeing a step out in folk style.
Yeah.
I'm just not a purist in that way.
How do they quantify like these rule changes? Maybe not quantify. It's just maybe that's a silly word. I don't use that word.
It's a good
Like
word.
how do they relate these rule changes to? Oh well, this is going to increase viewership because they're just changing the rules. They're not taking rules away. If anything, they're adding rules. They're making it more complicated. People maybe were already kind of interested or watching it. It's like, wait, so now there's a 3-point takedown, but
For
a
sure.
reversal is worth 2. Like I don't understand that.
No, so that makes sense. I guess that's definitely overspeaking on my part because
No, but that's their reasoning, right? That is their reasoning. You're not overspeaking. That's their reasoning.
it's part of it, but like that's the part where I do agree with you. I don't fully agree that I don't think it'll gain viewership. Right now, the biggest thing that my wife has a hard time understanding is how do you know it's a takedown? What's like why is it so hard for me to understand when someone has a takedown, they have control? Because it doesn't always make sense. Like you can have someone's ankles, grab both ankles and you drag your feet on the mat and that's a takedown, but technically that wouldn't be a takedown if you're in the middle of the mat always. You have to like be around their hips. You have to you can be around both legs and it's not a takedown, whatever it may be. It's hard because wrestling's confusing. It makes so much sense to us, but to like the untrained eye, it doesn't make sense. And I mean, switching to freestyle wouldn't help that. 3-point takedown wouldn't help that. Adjusting the riding time and doing all that stuff.
No,
it wouldn't.
But what are some things that, like, from just a marketing standpoint, you can do to add to the sport, right? To give it more flair, because as a traditional, like, there's a lot of traditionalists in the sport.
Yes.
It is kind of niche, right? Like we've been wrestling for a long time. Yeah, we know the rules, but like how many casual fans just start watching wrestling?
None.
It's uncommon. I think with social media and like TikToks and like stuff like that, I think it does get out there a little bit more. I think there are more I want to say independent media groups, but like Barstool Sports covering Spencer Lee, you know, and now there's a guy, I think he's from New Jersey, that just wants to start Barstool Wrestling. Mm-hmm. He's a brand new fan and just thinks this is great, and that, you know, there's a lot of stoolies that are also wrestlers, you know, that could potentially be a huge fan base because, you know, we're all kind of knuckleheads in some way. But I think just touching back on, you know, what I'm saying here is like, and I think I made a post about this after Miguel won, because my girlfriend was in the stands and she took a picture, and I honestly think it's low key like one of my favorite pictures ever because it encapsulates the whole arena. You see Miguel's corner, like me, you know. Our school has memed it, by the way. They made it a meme, like almost Friday. So it's like me and Carlo like getting revved up.
Dude, that photo is epic. It's absolutely.
You see Myers and I don't know the other Poway's assistant, but they're on the other side and they're just deflated, like just took his soul. Like Myers is just hunched over and you see his bald spot, like he's just deflated. You see Miguel on top, right, just fired up, right. You see Root just kind of laying there like crap. You see people like on their feet. You see flashes. You see this huge crowd of people just going nuts. What is entertaining about that? What's entertaining about that is the passion. What's entertaining about, if I don't understand what the sport is, looking at it and seeing the emotion that goes into that, right? That's what's entertaining. If you look at Vision Quest, right? If you look at Vision Quest, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy that's a cook that's like Loudon's friend, right? He goes to this hotel room. Loudon goes to his hotel room and he talks to him and he's like, why are you getting all dressed up? Like, it's just a wrestling match. It's just 6 minutes. And the guy explains what happened with Pele, right? Like, he just happened to be flipping through his television screen and he sees, Pele, this famous soccer player, hits a freaking bicycle kick, goes upside down and backwards, kicks the ball and scores a goal. And the whole crowd goes nuts. And he's like, I mean, he's a casual soccer fan. He doesn't really know what's happening. He just knows the ball went in the net and everyone is going nuts. And he saw this guy hit this crazy move and he's crying watching this freaking thing. He's like, it's not the 6 minutes. It's what happens in that 6 minutes. And I think it's got to go beyond just what happens with the rules. It's the passion. It's the excitement. It's the enthusiasm that people have. You want to make wrestling more exciting? Freaking wrestle an exciting style. right? And that's something that we got to promote as coaches. Wrestle an exciting style, score takedowns, cut people, get in their face, have a freaking character, have a character. Let your inner light come out and let this be an expression of who you are, because that's what wrestling is. That's what your style is, And I think you can't force that. Be who you are and wrestle an exciting style where you score points, because ultimately that's what this is all about, dude. Is go be free to be who you are on the mat. And I think when you're doing that and you're genuine, dude, people are gonna be interested,
Oh
right?
yeah.
But you just got to market. You got to sell it. You got to put it up on ESPN. You got to get those contracts. We got to have more wrestling podcasts talking about it.
Absolutely. Okay. So state final.
Man, I get fired up.
Oh, I love it. We have passion for the sport, but listen to this. So I'm going to bring up Adam Tirapelli again, but okay, you brought up the passion. You brought up that moment, right? That was a big moment, the state finals, right? We can't always have state finals. We can't always have NCAA finals, right? But what are those finals technically? What is it? It's 14 guys against 14 guys, right? It's a dual meet. People have been talking about this for a long time. And I'm going to say Adam Tirapelli has been, I think, the biggest preacher of this. And he says it all the time on Twitter. And I like it every time. Because I do think, especially in college wrestling, and then high school should take effect afterwards, but we need a dual championship. And we have our dual season. And I think someone put out like a mock, what the mock season should look like, which included a dual championship. And it was awesome because it basically was what we had this season. So it had like this huge tournament in December, which like we have Cliff Keen, but we could have something bigger. Screw like the Southern Scuffle, that's gotten watered down. Midlands is cool, but like they're just competing with each other too much. I think from then on, you go to the dual season, which is basically what we have this year. I'm watching the Big Ten Network all year. It's a bunch of duels, a dual championship, and then your conferences, and then national championship. And those duels, bro, they're so interesting. They're so fun to watch, even for these non-fans. Wisconsin against Iowa, Penn State against Northwestern. And yeah, it's the Big Ten, but like the Big Ten is the one putting on the big shows. And they have the fun wrestlers that are fun to watch. But like Oregon State could take on Oregon State could take on Arizona State. Sorry, Rob Cole, you got some kids leaving. It's not as fun. No, but Oregon State against Arizona State could be a fun duel in a huge arena. You can get put it somewhere. It doesn't even have to be Arizona, Oregon. It could be somewhere in California, bro. You could fill out an arena with just people that want to watch these guys because like they have big names and like they are bringing wrestling back to the West Coast, and they're doing what those Big Ten schools are doing. And like Chris Pendleton's doing an amazing job. Zeke Jones has been crushing it over there with his recruiting. But I think duels bring that passion and bring more of that understanding. And you talking about Pele made me think about soccer. I could watch soccer, basketball, baseball, even football. I don't know every single rule. I don't understand every single rule. I'm like, why would they do that? What's going on there? Why did this ref do this? What happened here? But I can still get into it. I can still get excited. It's really it's for sports fans, but the casual fan can get into it because at the end of the day, if you guys go into overtime and someone gets a takedown and stands up and goes crazy and the crowd goes crazy, you can get into that. That's one of the most epic moments. And that's the moment that your boy Miguel Estrada had in the state finals, overtime takedown. He's the overtime king, by the way. The guy just gets it done in overtime. He's amazing. But I think the rule changes are cool. And I think it brings excitement for the wrestlers. It brings excitement for me. But really, like, the moment they get like an actual, like they set up like a dual season, I think it'll change things for the better. And not right away. It'll take time, but.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways you can do about it. I think having that, what's the incentive of having a dual championship? Is it going to be something that, you get points for the national tournament? Well, I mean, that could be something. I think there can be something there, but I don't know. I think in tournament setting, I think you're going to find out who the best wrestler in the country is.
Oh, yeah.
And by proxy, the best team. But the best dual team, yeah. I mean, we're not like Frontier isn't necessarily the best dual team. I think we've gotten better this last season, but we're a better tournament team because we have a handful of guys that are good and they can score more points in a tournament than they can in a duel. But that being said, I mean, why not look at other sports? like football. I mean, does every single team play in the BCS national championship? Does every single one make because they revise it now? I think they expand it. There's like 8 teams and like a little mini tournament.
Yeah.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
But they have bowl games. And maybe it's something where if you get this kind of record through duels, maybe that encourages you to have these dual meets and have some production value with that. But maybe, we start pairing these teams together. Okay, well, Maryland, you had a good dual season, or whatever, Maryland, we're gonna match you up with ASU, or Maryland, we're gonna match, or just things like that. Michigan, we're gonna match you up with Missouri. They're just two teams that maybe don't play each other a lot. Let's put them together. That's going to have some excitement, and let's put them in like Florida, like Tampa Bay, or Tampa. Or let's go put something cool like Nashville. Let's go put in these cool little towns, and that way build help and sell tickets, dude. You're telling me like if Iowa wrestled like Iowa State and Nashville, or like something, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like a couple of big programs, and like in a fun town like Miami or Nashville, dude, I might go.
I'd want to go. Call it the Tostitos duel. I'm down with it, bro. You get the sponsorship, start throwing that in. But you're right, dude. That's an amazing idea. I think you have the sponsorships for like the business side of it, and then you pair up these teams that like we've really wanted to see this duel. And so sure, Penn State and Iowa, they're in the dual championship. It's just them two. That's fine. But then you have Nebraska versus Arizona State. You just have these matchups that they don't even have to make sense. They could just be exciting. They could have individual matchups that we all want to see. Stuff like that. I think that's a great idea. We just need to think of new ideas to grow the sport, and the sport needs to get out of the people responsible for the sport. I don't know who they are. Need to get out of the more old school mentality that we don't want to change anything, because they are willing to change. They're willing to change some things. Like when I went to NCAA's at Madison Square Garden, they changed how they arranged the mats. And like, cool, you're going to change something that nobody wants you to change. You're going to take away the I formation. I remember that year they had like the 4 mats or the 6 mats in a row like that. And it's like, that's how you're going to do like the semis or whatever. That's not how we want to see it. That's not how it's been. And like, that was like a dumb change, but like, that was just a minor thing. We need to be willing to change things that make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some people watch this podcast and then it will change the world. But I don't know.
Let's change.
How many Twitter followers you got?
Twitter followers?
Yeah.
Maybe 50. I've
been
on Twitter for a while. I got on Twitter when I first joined Flow, because I realized how like important it was to be on Twitter just
for information.
Yeah, I just follow all the wrestling teams, but man, I don't even know how to check.
I got I think a pretty decent Instagram following. I got almost 1,000. I've been lingering right around 1,000 for a minute. It's not that important, but I'm also set on private too.
Oh wow, I got 39 followers
on Instagram.
On Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a big deal. No, but the thing is, I mean, I've used it a lot for information. Recently, I've started doing more like I've interacted a lot more. Not gonna lie, Ryan Blake, Ray Blake or Ryan Blake, one of the same coaches. He did like one of my comments the other day. So I don't want to brag on the podcast, but pretty cool.
I talked to Ray. I mean, we talked to a lot of people, but we're trying. He's a potential guest. He said he was interested. We just need to figure out the right time. We had a few other guys, just former coaches or guys that are currently coaching. Just using our connections.
Definitely.
But yeah, I don't know. I think wrestling Twitter is interesting, just because it's kind of like the rumor mill, and it's kind of like a forum where just people can exchange ideas. But yeah, I was just saying, if we had some Twitter followers, man, we could put that out there and see if it takes hold. But I don't know.
Definitely. I mean, I see myself in the future once I get back. I mean, having the kid, it's taking up a lot of time. Once I get kind of more back into coaching, more back into the scene. I have good ideas, and I feel like wrestling can benefit from so many different changes. I just think I need to earn my place, get into a good place where I can talk with influential people and hopefully get my ideas out there, our ideas out there. I'm not looking to I don't need to change the sport for myself. I love it so much. I want everyone else to enjoy it. You want everyone else to enjoy it. We want to make a positive change.
No, I agree. We've been going for a while, but do you want to still talk about the U.S. Open?
I do want to talk about the US Open because it's taking place in Las Vegas. It starts tomorrow. I think registration's tomorrow. Wrestling might start tomorrow. And by tomorrow, I mean Wednesday, the 26th, April 26th. By the time you guys listen to this, it might be Thursday or Friday. But
I think I'll have it posted. I'll try to have it posted by tonight or tomorrow. So
very nice.
It's the 25th.
There is so much to say about the US Open, but there is no need to say it. It is going to speak for itself. This is going to be one of the biggest US Opens in history. I'm so glad I live 7 minutes down. I was going to go watch the semifinals and the finals for the men's freestyle. Now I think I'm just going to go to the finals. Got to keep that baby on his feeding schedule. But let me just say, Spencer Lee is signed up. He's wrestling. I think that's super exciting. I'm going to tell you this. I've had people talk to me, be like, oh, Spencer's not as good as people think he is, blah, blah, blah. When I first started working at Flow, Spencer was one of the first young wrestlers that I saw. And it was the first time I saw him was at the US Open. It was, he was wrestling juniors, I believe it was, juniors or cadets or something. And that year, I think he won a cadet world title. But I said from then on, I was like, when that kid is either in college or past college, he's going to be our freestyle representative. He's going to win a gold medal at the Worlds or the Olympics.
Yeah.
If he is healthy enough this weekend, I'm not making any excuses for him, but I think healthy Spencer Lee is the best guy in the country. I don't care who it is. He beats Dayton Fix. He beats Nick Soriano. He beats all the guys. I think he's the best 57 kilogram wrestler for us. And I think he Olympic gold in 2024 in Paris for Spencer Lee. That's what I think. And I think it's super exciting that he's wrestling at this. I think it's amazing.
Do you think he beats Gilman?
Yes. And I think that's why Gilman isn't at Iowa anymore. One, I think it's because
I don't know, dude.
Two reasons. So like Snyder didn't run away from anyone. Snyder wants to go train with like the best of the best at Penn State. And I believe Gilman wants to do the same too. But I feel like Gilman was who left? I think it might have been
Ramos left first.
Yes. And because Gilman was the new coming, he was Iowa's guy. And then I think Gilman quickly saw when Spencer Lee came in, obviously Spencer Lee's going to be the guy. Let me get out of here before there's even a chance that I lose my spot to him, whatever it is. And I'm not saying that's what Gilman did. I have a lot of respect for Gilman. I just think a healthy Spencer Lee beats Gilman. I think he beats everyone in the world. I don't care who it is.
Yeah, the question just goes back to if he's healthy or not. And I just think like, I don't know, dude. Like I want to see him because I like both of them a lot. I just think with Gilman's pressure and with his pace, I just think the way that Lee has kind of wrestled this last year, I just don't see that happening on their feet, where Lee is going to be able to get consistent takedowns. And then also just kind of being aware of just like exposures and 4-point throws. I mean, dude, I don't think he's stable enough on his feet where that's probably gonna be an issue. But granted, I think if he does get a takedown, I think his parterre is pretty legit. And I also think if you get stuck underneath him, just looking at his past matches, he does find a decent amount of ways to score with exposures. So I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see.
Now if he's healthy, he's going to be so fun to watch. And I would put my money on him beating everyone in the weight, at least this weekend, and then getting a chance at Thomas Gilman at Final X. I think I
wouldn't take that bet. I would not take that bet. I'd say you're probably right. I want you to be right.
And we'll see. We'll see. I'm rooting for him. Dude.
Go ahead. No. I was going to be silly. You can go ahead.
Okay. I like silly. I think interesting. I think very interesting. California boy, Morgan McIntosh signing up for the US Open. Wow. I think he's at 92 or 97 kilos.
92.
And so, I mean, we'll see if Jaden Cox, because Jaden Cox right now is at 97, but I feel like there was question where if he would go 92 or 97.
I think if he goes 97s for the Open, I think he has to kind of commit to that weight class.
I think he does. So, I mean, it pigeonholes him to have to go against Snyder. I think he's obviously the best guy at that weight. I think it's very interesting with that Ben Tudor guy. He's a younger kid. I think that could be a super interesting match. But for me, Jaden Cox is one of the smartest wrestlers. I mean, he's beaten David Taylor, Kyle Dake, like in there, like not in their prime, but like they weren't not in their prime at the time. I think Jaden Cox is incredible. I just think it's so cool that he signed up for this. I like that he's not like he wouldn't be back in wrestling, but it's just, you never know sometimes. Some guys might take some time off, go a different way, whatever.
Yeah.
Him and Cooter could be a very interesting matchup.
Cooter's at 92 or 97?
97.
Yeah.
So sorry, I just glazed over Morgan McIntosh. I loved that guy in high school. He was so incredible to watch. And then he went to Penn State. I was always sad that he never won a national title, but for him to get into this field, I mean, the favorite is Mike Machiavello, and I like Machiavello. He's a stud, like an absolute unit. But I mean, Jacob Cardenas, Jay Aiello, Rocky Elam, Morgan McIntosh, Eric Schultz, like that could go to anybody. Morgan McIntosh hasn't been back in a while, but let's see what he's got. I'm excited. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, there's not a lot of depth at 92 kilos. So I wrestled at a tournament, and it kind of got me thinking about possibly competing again. I'm like, that'd probably be the way I would go. And then also part of me knew was like, dude, I could go. I think I could go place at the Senior U.S. Open, and if I do that, I can try to get RTC status for my club. So that was kind of my thought process.
You're not doing it?
Also, just not necessarily show that like I still got her. I'm trying to like relive glory days, because I think I wasn't that good in college. I think I'm a lot better now, just because I know the game of wrestling a lot more. But I think part of it too is just like, I think there is so much value in competing that goes beyond just going to win. It's like I think to really lock in your gains, like lock in like what you learned, competing is sometimes the best way to do that. And I think, when I competed this last time, it was kind of by accident. I couldn't get my background check cleared for this USA tournament that was going on. I couldn't get cleared in time. Not that I couldn't get cleared. I couldn't get cleared in time. I probably should have said that before. Like, yeah, it was cleared, but I just couldn't get cleared in time for the tournament because sometimes it takes like a week. But they had free registration for open division. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just do that. I'll get on the floor. And then, but I was like, I still kind of have to like weigh in. And, I went over to a parent's house, a couple of our parents who were watching UFC fight. And I was like, hey, can I use your scale? And he's like, yeah. And then he kind of noticed like I wasn't being as social, like with some of the beverages, and like I wasn't eating, like, and I'm an eater, and like they know me, I'm an eater. Like, dude, why are you not like digging into the spread? And they're like, why are you weighing in? And they're like, hey, are you wrestling tomorrow? And then like a parent like looked up like the entries and saw that I was on there, like, dude, you're wrestling, but it was good because I got to kind of remember what it was like to feel those jitters. But sorry, I got off on a tangent, but
no, tangents are good.
I thought about doing the open. I think I'm gonna hold off on that though. But it would be good just to go watch, man. Like, there's so many great matches and so many great storylines. I think one of the most important storylines that I think people maybe have glossed over. There's a legend, an absolute legend of the sport. One of the best technical wrestlers ever is making a return. And
Brian,
people might have said,
wait, I haven't announced that I'm wrestling at it yet. Please.
No, it's not you, man. I mean, this guy, dethroned one of the best wrestlers of all time. This guy, he was not only that, but he was a reality TV show star. Okay. And he is known for consistency and sweat. And that is Rulon Gardner.
Yes, sir.
He's making a return.
Yes, sir.
I saw something. He said he was like 330 or something like that, like last week. I was like, dude, this guy ain't making weight. He didn't make weight on The Biggest Loser. I think he quit on The Biggest Loser.
He did. Listen, I got respect for the guy. I love him. I think he went through some really hard times. He has survived some of the craziest survival stories, multiple. I think helicopter crash, or there was some helicopter incident, but the snowmobile crash, all the different things. Beat Alexander Karelin, one of the best wrestlers in the world. You already said it. I think it's cool he signed up. I know there's a big chance he doesn't wrestle, but I think he is a different person now than he was during that time, The Biggest Loser. Because also after The Biggest Loser, he gained a lot of the weight back. He was really big. I saw him at Reno Worlds, I believe. And I just felt bad because I love the guy. I remember I met him when I was in 8th grade and I asked him, I was like, do you get nervous for your matches? And he was so nice. He goes, of course I do. And it made me feel good because I always got nervous before my matches. But whether he wrestles or not, I think it's just good that he's around the sport for him. And I think it's good for him to create like a little stir. Like, is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? And then if he does, not going to be easy to wrestle. It's Greco. Not going to be easy. So no. I'm hoping he doesn't. I'm rooting for you, Rulon Gardner, and I hope you're wearing your shoes because that's just the best. If Kale comes back, he better be wearing Kale's. You know what I'm saying?
He's got some guys like Adam Kuhn is legit.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. You explaining it that way makes you sound like an a-hole, but
no, you're
fine.
It's okay to be skeptical. He's done this before, and I think it was before that he weighed 330. I don't know what he weighs now, probably around there, but I'm hoping he can do it. I'm really hoping. But speaking of heavyweights, I just want to say, everyone's a fan of him, not a fan of him. Everyone knows this guy's capabilities, okay? I'm going to say the name right away. Gable Steveson, he's back. And I'm so happy he's back. I was wondering for a long time. I was like, there's no way. He was going to come back for the college season, which he started posting these pictures and I was like, there's no way he comes back. And I didn't realize he was actually planning on doing it. So things got in the way. But I'm going to tell you this. If you weren't with Gable at his worst, you don't deserve him at his best. And I said for years and years and years, I go, this is our guy. I don't care what it is. And yes, he early on his NCAA career, I think he definitely lost a few times. I can't remember to who exactly. He might have been
to Anthony Cassar.
Well, yes. And I'll get to that. I think it was Kuhn at first, and then Cassar lost, or no, those were his only losses. Sorry, it was Anthony Cassar. But then freestyle scene, I was like, honestly, he's our guy. I go, watch out for him. He's young, but he's our guy. And yes, lost to Kuhn. I think he got messed up by Kuhn at the US Open in 2017 or something like that. But then he's got these matchups against Gwiz. He ends up beating Dominic Bradley when he was still very young. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you guys, he's the guy. And he couldn't beat Gwiz for a while. He had to get over that hump. And then he finally did. Has the most amazing Olympics. He is, I'm not saying he's just going to come in and wreck everyone. He definitely could, and he definitely should. But dude, Gable to me is a guy that I don't know how much younger than me, 10 years younger than me, 15 years younger than me. I look up to him so much. What the dude can do on the mat, and then his attitude about everything. He's the reason he went to he wanted to do business. He wanted to make money. He wanted to be successful. Yeah. And so he was smart. He knew wrestling might not be the place where I could be monetarily successful, but he went and did his thing. And now he's hungry. He wants it again. And bro, I want to see him do it. And I want to see him make the world team. I want to see him go to where the world's at this year. I don't know where they're at.
Wait, the Final X? Oh wait, where worlds are? Oh, I don't know.
I don't know either. Wherever they're
Budapest? At, I don't know.
Wherever they are, again.
I know it's Budapest, dude.
I hope he goes, and I hope he wrestles that Iranian dude. Can't remember his name right now, but the guy who basically took the crown from him.
Is it Agul?
No, Agul. There's Taha Agul from Turkey, who he's going to.
Petrashvili.
There's Petrashvili from Georgia, and then there's the Iranian dude who he won it the year after Gable won the Olympics. And I'm telling you, I bought an iPad and I got the strong VPN and Wi-Fi to just watch Gable win the Olympics, bro. That was incredible. I watched it the other day again. He scored 2 takedowns in the last 8 seconds.
Dude, I call bullcrap. You can't cut somebody in freestyle.
Not bullcrap. The fact that he's back, all eyes better be on Gable, because it is a treat that we get to see him back in our sport, because he can so easily leave and just go do something else. But the guy can do backflips. I think he's a great personality for the sport, and I'm super happy to have him back. So,
dude, I wish I could go and watch the dang tournament. We have a club tournament this weekend we're hosting, so I kind of have to be there. And what's funny is Carlo's going on a trip, and he made the plans for that weekend. Asked if I wanted to go. They're gonna be in Vegas.
Oh no way!
Not for the U.S. Open. They're just gonna be there, but they're gonna have one day where they're gonna go to the U.S. Open. And then once we have the tournament, and I realized that oh, dude, like I should.
Bad
I
timing.
mean, I have to be here, kind of, but like I wish I could have gone.
Bad
Or
timing.
at least I have already booked the trip and be like, sorry, we're kind of have to go to this trip.
But listen,
jealous.
so there's going to be from younger kids to women's wrestling to men's freestyle. If you're going to watch anything, watch all of it if you can. But Thursday, Friday is the men's freestyle. To me, that's the most exciting. I like everything else too, but I'm going to be watching locked in on men's freestyle. Thursday will be the semis and all the previous rounds. Friday will be the finals. I don't think you're having your tournament. Your tournament's probably on Saturday, right?
Yeah, but we got set up Friday night.
Get that computer up as you're setting up, watch these matches, have your kids watch these matches. I think they're super important matches. Guys, it's one of the biggest US Opens in history. I'm excited that it's 7 minutes down the road, and I'm kind of biting my tongue that I said I wasn't going to go Thursday. So I might just have to sneak away Thursday. Maybe if I can have my mother-in-law come over and help with the baby, because
bring the baby to the tournament.
He's a little too young still. He's a little too small.
What is he? He's 10 days old?
Right now he's 15 days old. So he's getting there, but I mean next year he's going no matter what. But I mean it's going to be off the walls. Everyone should tune in. I think it's going to be on Flow Wrestling. It's worth a subscription. I'm gonna try to be there. I'm definitely gonna watch this.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm jealous, but dude, I hope it's a good time. Hope you have fun.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm good. Do you have anything else?
No, I appreciate you guys having me as always. It's a pleasure.
You gotta think of a better way to like sign off.
See you, folks.
Simple.
Yeah. It's simple. Hey, it's Simple Man Wrestling. Keep it simple.
All right.
Stay simple,
guys. All right. Thanks, Oren.
Bye, guys.